garlicky, it's spicy. Oh, all the yumminess. Here we go. Oh boy. I really want to feed you. So open your mouth and say, ah, yum. Hi everyone, this is Helen and welcome to Modern Pepper. And I want to give special thanks to my subscribers, Modern Peppers, for tuning in today. And also to my new viewers, thank you so much for visiting Modern Pepper. Now today we will be making a legendary stew called Budae Jjigae. It's called Army Troop Stew. No, you don't have to be a soldier to enjoy Budae Jjigae. Phonetically, I'm going to make it easy for you to pronounce. So bu, like B-O-O, dae, D-A-E, G, double J-I, gae, G-A-E, Budae Jjigae. So I hope that makes it a little easier for you to pronounce Budae Jjigae. Just to give you a quick background, Budae Jjigae was born at a South Korean army station where soldiers were longing for a homemade meal of spicy Korean stew. And really what came about was Budae Jjigae made up of just the ingredients that they had in hand, which is kimchi you always have no matter where you are, and a stockpile of canned meat. So this stew comprised of kimchi and a variety of canned meat including beans and such. Now, Budae Jjigae has come a long way. Now it is a legendary soup that is enjoyed by so many Koreans, both in Korea as well as here in the States and all over the world for those that love Korean food. So, I'm going to teach you how to make Budae Jjigae. It is very easy. But before we begin, I want to let my vegetarian friends know that you could certainly make this Budae Jjigae without having to use canned meat. You could certainly use faux canned meat. You could also skip the meat altogether and just go straight into all the vegetables that we'll be adding. So let's dive right in because this dish is so easy to make, and so I'm so excited to share it with you. So I want to go over the ingredients with you quickly. Now, as far as the canned meat, it really is up to you what you want to use. So typically Spam's always in there. So I have a can of Spam, but this I think is too much in my opinion. So I'm just going to use half. And we're gonna take our Spam and slice it as thin as possible. Like so, like paper thin, okay? We're gonna put this on our plate right here. And then we need some Vienna sausage. I mean, Vienna sausage for me brings back childhood memories of just eating this after school with some scrambled eggs. Oh goodness, it's really yum. We all know it's not really great for you, but once in a while, I think it's fine. So I already cut a bunch of these Vienna sausage into half, and I'm gonna cut them across diagonally like so in half. And this is our last one. And I have 2 slices of ham. I'm gonna cut it in half. I already cut the first slice into strips. So what you wanna do is just cut your ham into quarters, stack it like so, and then just cut them into strips. So whatever canned meat that you're putting in here, you know, for me, I like to cut them into different shapes so that when I go to eat it later, I know what I'm eating, you know. The last thing you want to be is like, well, I don't know what I'm eating. Although, you know, canned meat are known to be mysterious meat, but it's okay. Don't think about it. It's still yummy. You need a half of a medium onion and just slice it thin. Almost done. And then we're gonna put this on our plate right here. And we need 2 green onions. I already cut the first one. I like to cut my onion in an angle like so. Put it on our platter. We need about 4 to 5 cloves of garlic. So I already took the skin off this one. So I have a trick to share with you. Cut the root end off like so. And then you take your knife, lay it flat on top of your garlic, and then you make a fist and you strike it down like that. And then the skin just comes right off, and here's your clove of garlic. So we just want to finely mince our 4 or 5 cloves of garlic like so. Gather it all up, and then one more time, finely chop it again, like so. And then we're gonna put this on our platter. Now the other star ingredient you need is kimchi. It's ideal to use kimchi that's a little bit extra fermented so that if you were to eat it alone, it would be a little too vinegary in taste, but you do not want to use kimchi that's overly fermented that it just tastes like straight up vinegars. So this budae jjigae dish is a great way to recycle slightly over fermented kimchi. So you could take your kimchi and put it on your cutting board and cut it with a knife and have your kimchi juice all over the place. Then you could clean up your kimchi covered cutting board. Or if you bought your kimchi that's already pre-cut, then you don't obviously have to do this process. But I always like to buy my kimchi that's not pre-cut, and these are called pogi kimchi because the leaves come intact. So what I like to do is I like to use my kitchen scissors to cut them into the sizes that I want on a plate. And doing so, it gathers all the kimchi juice on the plate and not on my cutting board or potentially all over the kitchen counter. So this is my way of cutting kimchi without creating extra cleanup work for me. And you're like, what is this? For those of you who've been watching my videos, you all know that I cannot cook without these disposable kitchen gloves. And look at that. So my hand from touching the kimchi, look, I peel it right off. This goes in the garbage can and voila, my hands are clean. And it doesn't smell like kimchi. Isn't that great? Anyway, if you're interested in those, make sure to check out the blog for this recipe at modernpepper.com, and I will have a list of all the ingredients in detail, as well as the written recipe instructions and online links for Korean ingredients, as well as suggested kitchen gadgets, including these disposable kitchen gloves. So make sure to check the description box below where I will have the blog link for this recipe where you could check it out when you're ready to make this later, okay? So I have 3 cups of kimchi. And we're gonna put this to the side. Now you also need some tofu. So, you know, I see my friends buying these tofu cases and they struggle to kind of open it and such. So I'm gonna share a tip with you. This is the easiest way to open these tofu containers. So you wanna take your knife and go down along the edge of your tofu container like so. And then you open the flap like so, and then you take it to your sink and dump out all the water. And after you dump out all the water, you flip it and you take it out like that. That's the easiest way to do it. Now for our budae jjigae, we only need half of this block. It's about 6 to 7 ounces after you cut it in half. And then the second half that I'm not gonna use, I have another tip to share with you. You wanna get a container, you wanna put it in here with fresh water. Make sure your tofu is completely submerged in water. Put the lid on it and put this in your refrigerator and try to consume the rest of the tofu in here within 2 to 3 days max. For our budae jjigae with this half block of tofu, we're just gonna cut them into thick slices. Like so. And then we're gonna put this on our platter of ingredients right here. I just want to make a quick announcement that next week's video, we will be making jjajangmyeon. It is one of the most popular dishes in Korea that gets delivered all the time, and it just hits the spot and makes everyone so instantly happy. So I look forward to making jjajangmyeon with you next week. So make sure to click on that subscribe button that you see at the corner right there. Click on that so that we could make jjajangmyeon together next Thursday. Now I want to talk to you about how to make this budae jjigae extra delicious. I have beef broth. In Korean it's called sogogi yuksu that I made. If you want to learn how to make this, make sure to check out my video on how to make Korean rice cake soup called tteokguk. And in that video, I cover how to make Korean beef broth. What I like to do is make extra, and I put it in a container like so that when I'm ready to make my budae jjigae or any other kinds of jjigae like kimchi jjigae, doenjang jjigae, or other Korean stews like jeongol, then I take this out from my freezer, I thaw it out, and I use it. So if you want to learn how to make that, make sure to check out my tteokguk video, and I will have the link for you in the description box. Now, I get it, I know. Not everyone has the time or the energy to make Korean beef broth from scratch. So I also share a tip on how to make this sort of in a shortcut way that's super easy. So make sure to check out my blog for this recipe and I will list that for you. And the other way to enhance the flavor of your budae jjigae is using Korean beef bouillon powder called beef dashda. And this is a staple flavor enhancer that many Koreans use some don't like to admit that they use it, but it is a great way to enhance the flavors of Korean stews. So I always have this one handy, and I will have a link for you to purchase this as well. For those of you that don't live near a Korean supermarket or don't have the time to go shopping for Korean groceries, that link will be available so that you can purchase it online and have it conveniently shipped to your house. So here are some additional ingredients that I like to add to my Budae Jjigae. So you'll always find some sort of canned beans in your Budae Jjigae typically, but it doesn't have to be canned. You could use fresh beans that you could make from home, and you could use any bean of your choice. These are called butter beans. They're sort of your Italian version of lima beans. They're really, really creamy, it's big, it's super yum. It really does taste like butter. It's that sort of texture, but it has a creamy aftertaste. And so we're gonna add some of these butter beans, and then we're gonna add a little bit of green beans and some corn, and we're gonna add a sprinkle of Korean duck. And these are called rice cakes. It comes in a package like this, vacuum sealed. You could certainly buy freshly made duck. And if you're using freshly made duck, you do not need to pre-soak in cold water. But if you're using duck that comes in a vacuum sealed bag like this, you do need to pre-soak it in cold water for about a good 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm just using like less than a cup amount. And in Budae Jjigae, you will always find some sort of noodle as a topping. My choice is using Sapporo Ichiban. And if you missed last week's video on making instant ramen noodles, make sure to check that out because I cover how to make non-spicy instant noodles using Sapporo Ichiban, and also spicy ramen using shinramyeon with kimchi and a variety of Korean vegetables that makes it taste uber delicious. So make sure to check that out. For our Budae Jjigae, I'm going to use one package of ramen noodles without the powder mix. But some people also like to add tangmyeon noodles. These are your glass noodles, aka vermicelli noodles. In Korean, these are called tangmyeon. It's sweet potato starch noodles. This is the noodle that's used to make that popular dish called japchae. So for more on this, make sure to check out my video on how to make japchae. Now, if you're gonna use japchae noodles for your Budae Jjigae, you're gonna need to soak this in cold water, and I will have further instructions for you to follow if you're gonna use sweet potato starch noodles. So make sure to check out my blog for this recipe on modernpepper.com. Now, at these specialty Budae Jjigae restaurants, they make their own spice sauce to add to the stew. So if you wanna learn how to make this restaurant-style spicy paste sauce, make sure to check out my video on spicy fire chicken. And in that video, I cover how to make proper restaurant-style spicy paste sauce. But for today, I'm gonna make it as simple as possible because when this army troop stew was born, nobody was making the broth. They didn't have time to make the broth. They're soldiers. You know, it was just a simple dish that they just put together using whatever they had in the kitchen pantry at the army station. So I'm gonna make it as simple as possible. So I have a tablespoon of gochujang, and gochujang is a Korean red pepper paste. And it comes in a container like this. It comes in a smaller size, medium size, and a much bigger size. And for those of you who are like, where do I get this? Again, make sure to check out my blog for this recipe at modernpepper.com, and I will have links for you to purchase this and have it conveniently shipped to your house. But if you go to any Korean supermarket, you will always find gochujang. I have a half a tablespoon of miso paste, and I have 1 tablespoon of honey that we're gonna add to our Budae Jjigae. One of the fun things about having Budae Jjigae is that one, it's a big pot meal that you share among many people. And the second part that makes it uber fun to have is that it's typically served at tableside. You typically have these portable gas grills. You don't need to have this to certainly enjoy Budae Jjigae. You can certainly make it at your stove top, and then once it's done cooking, you can bring it to the table and enjoy it. And this is a very popular portable grill that almost every Korean household typically has in the house. And it comes in this case where this just fits in here and is pretty compact. So, you know, it's also great if you go camping or if you just want to grill some meat at the table. So I definitely get a lot of mileage out of this. If you go to any big Korean supermarket, you will find a huge selection of these portable grills. Now, for those of you that don't live near a big Korean supermarket, not to worry, because I will have links for you to purchase this and have it conveniently shipped to your house. So make sure to check out my blog, and I'll have that link in the description box below. And to make our Budae Jjigae, you definitely need a wide, shallow pan. And this is where we're gonna put all of of our ingredients in here and then just add our broth and then let it just simmer for 10 minutes and it's ready. So it's very, very easy to make. And one of the convenient factor of making this is you can prepare all the ingredients, in advance. Once all the guests arrive, you just turn it on and add your broth and there you go, your dinner's ready. So let's first start with our kimchi, and I'm just gonna separate them into 3 sections like so. So this is about 2 cups of kimchi, and save your juice for later. And then we're gonna add our onions next to our kimchi. And then we're gonna take our Spam and put it next to our onions. So you could also add hot dog meat. I mean, whatever meat that you wanna add, you could add. You could even go fancy and add Italian sausage meat, just remove the casing. You could add pancetta. You could also add bacon if you like. For my vegetarian friends, you could add tofu turkey meat, tofu bacon. And then just adding our Vienna sausage here. We're gonna add our tofu right here, and our shredded ham. And then we're gonna add our beans just right next to the tofu. And then we're gonna add our gochujang in the center right here, because this is where we're gonna pour our hot broth, our miso paste, and then our honey, and our finely minced garlic in the center like so. And then we have our duck that's been soaking in cold water. Now it's ready. So I just reheated our previously made Korean beef broth called sogogi yuksu that we're gonna add to our 부대찌개. And I'm just gonna pour it in here. And just stir the gochujang and miso paste and the honey that we added here in the center. This is 3 cups, and we're gonna turn this portable stove on at super high temperature. And here is a 1/2 cup of kimchi juice that I put aside, and we're gonna pour it in here. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be so yummy. All right, so put the lid on it. Your heat is at super high. We're gonna cover it with our lid and come back in 5 minutes. All right, so it's been 5 minutes since our stew's been boiling away on super high heat. Ooh, look at that. All right, so typically when you make jjigae using Korean pepper flakes, you're gonna get these like foam. You just wanna scoop it up and take it out, because that tends to kind of taste a little bitter. And it's okay if you don't get rid of all of it. Just take out the foam, the pepper foam that you see on top like so. Now you just want to take some of the broth and just coat the rest of the ingredients around the rim. Ooh, it smells really good. It smells peppery, smells kind of salty. Like that. Ooh. Okay, here's our ramen noodle. We're gonna just break it in half and put it in the center, like so. And make sure it's covered in our broth. And we're gonna put our lid back on. The heat remains still high. We're gonna come back in 2 minutes. Ooh, do you hear the rumbling sound? Wow, look at that. Looks so yummy. Okay, so just break up the ramen noodles a little bit more. Ramen noodles are not cooked all the way, which you do not want to cook all the way at this point, okay? Lower your heat to medium now. And we're gonna add our corn to one side here, right next to our noodles. And we're gonna add our sweet peas to one side right here. And just pull up the noodles like so, because the noodles are sort of everyone's favorite right here. And then we're gonna add our scallions. So do you hear the sound of happiness? Put some of our broth here on top. So do you hear that sound? That's the sizzling sound of this delicious 부대찌개. It's gonna be so good. This is something that you have to eat quickly because the ramen noodles soak up so much of the broth so quickly. Or if you plan to eat a little bit slow, take out all the ramen noodles, put it on the side, and then enjoy this meal. Same thing for if you're using tangmyeon noodles, and the tangmyeon noodles get really bloated quickly. But let's have a taste of our broth. Oh, this broth looks so good. I'm telling you, adding that beef broth that I made previously is a game changer. The beef broth, the sogogi yuksu, really makes this dish taste uber good. I'm just like drooling. First, let's start with the beans and a little bit of the corn and our sweet peas with a little bit of the broth. I mean, for my vegetarian friends, you could really have this with just the vegetables alone and it'll be so good. Really, it's vegan friendly. It's hot. That's good. The beans are so good. It's like pillowy and creamy. And then the corn and the sweet peas is just like it's bursting in my mouth. And then you have the broth with it together. Really yum. All right, now let's taste the noodles, the ramen noodles, before it gets too bloated. Now, if it gets so bloated that you won't even be able to pick it up with your chopsticks because they'll just like fall apart, and you definitely don't want to eat your ramen noodles bloated like that. Oh boy, this is gonna be so good. The ramen noodles, because it's soaked in this delicious spicy broth, so good. All right, now let's have a little bit of the Spam and some Vienna sausage together. And I'm gonna put a slice of our Korean duck with it and have a bite. So good. I mean, the saltiness from the Spam and then sort of the really soft, pillowy taste of the Vienna sausage together, mopped up in this like delicious spicy broth. It's so good. Okay, now moving on, let's have a little bit of tofu. So tofu tends to mop up all of the yummy liquid whenever you make stews with it. So this tofu should be really good. I'm thinking of you, my vegetarian friends. You'll love this. Even if you're not a fan of tofu, you'll love it in this broth. Oh, so yum. I know, I hear you. My vegetarian friends are like, well, you use beef broth. It's okay. I will have additional instructions for using non-beef broth when you make this dish, so just check out my blog for this recipe and I'll list that. Okay, so we need to have some kimchi and some duck together. Ooh, this is gonna be so yum. I really wish I could feed you. I mean, I would love to feed you if I could. And then, the Korean rice cake duck is chewy. It's like it hits the spot with that chewy pasta taste, but it's just better than regular pasta, I think, because it's just chewier because it's made with rice flour. And then it's soaked up in this delicious spicy broth with kimchi, and the kimchi is crunchy, and that's how you want to cook it. You never want to cook it to a point where it's so cooked that your kimchi is no longer crunchy. Then it's not good. Okay, now I have some Korean rice. This is half brown rice and half white rice that I made. And you know, if you haven't watched my video on how to make Korean rice, that's Korean Rice 101. It covers everything you need to know about Korean rice. So make sure to watch that because Koreans like to also make their rice super healthy and loaded with so many variety of rice grains as well as a variety of beans. So make sure to check that out. I mean, if I was eating this with friends, I would serve this in a separate bowl instead of dipping my spoon in here. But because this is all for me, I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of the broth and have it with rice. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Wow, that's really good. All right, now I'm gonna have to make myself a spoonful of everything. I'm gonna put a little bit of everything on the spoon and have it. A little bit of our ham strips, Spam, a little bit of the Vienna sausage, and some duck, and some scallion, peas, a piece of kimchi, and tofu, and some beans. Make sure it's drenched in our broth. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to take 2 bites of this. This is really big. Oh, it's good. Oh, that's yum. Oh, now it's getting spicy. Ooh, it's a little bit of heat, which I like. Oh, it's so good. But you definitely need to have rice when you make this because it's a little bit on the saltier side. So like the rice balances it out. And yes, Korean rice is completely different from other Asian rice. So you must have it with Korean rice. I highly recommend that you have it with Korean rice because it's different. So I understand not many of you, sorry, I just need to take another bite because this is so good. So I understand not many of you have the luxury of time or the energy to make Korean rice from scratch. I get it. And sometimes you're in a pinch, you just don't have time. So I always have a couple of these microwavable Korean rice. It's pre-cooked rice and you pop it in the microwave, follow the instructions. It comes out tasting like it was just made. It's fluffy and it's perfectly cooked. So I highly recommend keeping a few of these in the house, you know, as an emergency or when you travel and you don't feel like cooking. I will have links for you to purchase this in my blog for this recipe, so check it out if you don't live near a Korean supermarket because it's really good. This one is brown rice, so you don't even need to have just white rice either, so it's kind of healthy. Now I'm starting to sweat. I feel guilty that I'm having this alone and not sharing it with my friends because it's so good. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you make this at home because Budae Jjigae, as you saw, it is super easy to make. You share it with your friends and family. And please make sure to drop me a line or two and let me know what you thought. Next week, we will be making jjajangmyeon. Yep, jjajangmyeon is a Chinese Korean noodle dish that is uber popular in Korea. And it could also be made so that it's vegetarian friendly. So my vegetarian friends, please make sure to tune in. I look forward to making jjajangmyeon with you, so make sure to subscribe by clicking on that pink button that you see at the corner right there. I want to thank you again for watching, and I hope you have happy Budae Jjigae time with your friends and family. So until next time, bye now. Do you hear the sound of happiness?